Biggest friend is your biggest enemy, and I'm talking about screens.
Right, of course.
And studies have proven that there is direct link between depression and screen time. And one thing I would like to add, more gratitude. That is the key to happiness.
Very difficult.
Very difficult, because most people, what they do say that we are grateful for the blessings in our life and we do practice gratitude, but intentional gratitude and verbally being grateful are two entire different things. Such a beautiful question. Yes, it has transformed me completely, because you cannot heal others or help to heal others while you have not healed yourself first. It's about thoughts, feelings, and behavior, because thoughts influence the way we feel, and we always behave through the place of we operate from the place of our feelings. So whatever we are feeling in the moment, we behave in that way, and after behaving in a certain way, we start feeling good or bad about it. Secondly, stress is a natural part of our life, because our brain, anything that outside source that it feels like a threat, there will be a natural stress response from our brain, which we cannot stop from emerging. Once it comes and visits you like a visitor, then let it go. Then say bye to it and then move on with your day. And there are breathing exercises that help me a lot to keep my cortisol levels low. And I often teach them in therapy to my clients also. And it especially works wonders when it comes to anxiety and panic attacks.
Yes. Hi everyone, and today is a very special episode. Why am I saying this? Because we have a very special guest with us, and she is going to shed light on the therapeutic practitioner does for people who do intervention in mental well-being. And today Asma is an IGCT therapist, and she's going to tell us all about her journey.
I'm great. Thank you, Samira, for having me. It is such a pleasure to be here with you.
The pleasure is all mine. Tell me about your qualification, and I'm so excited about it.
I'm a licensed and certified life coach, and I am accredited and registered IGCBT cognitive behavioral therapist. And my specialty is in female mental health, particularly depression and anxiety. And IGCBT is the highest international body we recognized for the cognitive behavioral therapist worldwide.
Amazing. I think that we all need some kind of therapy in terms of approaching towards our amazing goals. How did your journey, Asma, begin in this direction? What made you choose this field?
I give the credit to my eldest son since he was diagnosed with the autism spectrum disorder, and that was the turning point in my life, and I started studying about human behavior and brain, and that was the moment my journey on towards mental health began. And since that time, while on being this journey, I realized mothers struggling with depression and anxiety, and they often were unable to find proper therapy and access to counseling. And that's when I realized that there is a huge gap when it comes to mental health of females. So I have to do something about it. And from then on it started. I got trained in counseling, got trained in life coaching, and then eventually I became a CBT therapist.
So the most important thing, how do you feel now that your personal approach towards dealing with people has elevated, has brought about this amazing managerial way of coping with things and people?
Such a beautiful question. Yes, it has transformed me completely, because you cannot heal others or help to heal others while you have not healed yourself first. So I went through personal transformation, and while being on this journey, I realized so many things about myself which even I was not aware of. And yes, you approach life towards in a non-judgmental way, and you look at things through a lens of purity and it transforms you for good, and you have compassion for other human beings, and you are kind to others for no reason. So yes, of course, it has helped me in my personal life in many ways too.
Do you think that in today's time, especially in UAE, being in Dubai, everyone being on this reckless, fast-paced life, how important it is for everyone to step back and feel that there is support that they should go out and consult to better themselves in their lives?
Yes, exactly. Especially in fast-paced societies such as UAE, where everyone is in a rush to do things and everyone is wearing multiple hats. It is very important to slow down, to pause, and to reflect, and to keep regular checkups with yourself. That where is it that I am struggling, and you need to pause, and you need to breathe, and you need to look within. If your inner world is peaceful, only then it will radiate towards your outer world, and it will make your quality of life good.
Absolutely. Asma, tell us, for those who are listening, what is CBT?
Well, CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. Right now it is considered as gold standard therapy, and it is kind of talking therapy. And we believe in the demise. There's this famous triangle of CBT, which is thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. Because when we think in a certain way, we start feeling in a certain way. And when we are feeling a certain way, it will influence our behavior. And likewise, when we behave in a negative way, of course, we start having more intrusive and negative thoughts, and our bodies is having those negative emotions and negative feelings. So all three of them are interconnected. And to reach the root of any matter, whether it is depression, whether it is anxiety, whether it is panic attacks, we have to target the intrusive and negative thoughts in the first place, and that are coming from irrational beliefs. So we often have to target irrational beliefs in therapy. And from that is the point we start towards the healing journey. Because a normal average human being, I would say, has from 70,000 to 90,000 of negative thoughts in a day. So we cannot stop them from coming, and it is very wrong to resist them. But what we can do is to filter them and to see which one is working for me and which one is adding into my suffering. And that is where a therapist comes to help you.
Amazing. Do you think that this is a breakthrough from preventing people to go on certain medications? Does this therapy help someone solidify by healing themselves naturally?
Yes, absolutely. Therapy is quite wonderful. I would not compare medication and therapy, because in some cases medication becomes a necessity. But still, like any medication in the world, especially when it comes to medication to psychology, there are lots of side effects, and they alter your brain chemistry as well.
Yes.
And it becomes very hard to survive without them. There comes a point when your brain becomes addicted to dosage of antidepressants, anti-stress, because usually what they do is they stimulate the growth of serotonins in your brain. And the person, for the time being, they get a temporary relief. But in the long term, what happens is that they would need more and more of that medication to survive and feel good in day-to-day basis. While therapy, it works slowly, but the results are long-term, and usually they last till the end of the lifespan. So therapy, when you come to a therapist helps you to look within yourself and to answer your own questions in a way that you can reflect, and you can see that, okay, which thoughts were actually detrimental for my mental health, and how I can change them, and how I can work on them, and how I can improve my own quality of life. So basically, therapy empowers you, enables you, trains you to handle the challenges of your life on your own without the help of relying on any medication or any outside source.
Wow, I think you have just given it's like an entire book can be written. Like, first, I would just like you to repeat those three, the triangle that you said. It's about
Yes,
thoughts.
it's about thoughts, feelings, and behavior, because thoughts influence the way we feel, and we always behave through the place of, we operate from the place of our feelings. So whatever we are feeling in the moment, we behave in that way. And after behaving in a certain way, we start feeling good or bad about it. and we start getting thoughts about it. So that is how this triangle comes into place: thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
And if we don't come out of that negative circle, it keeps consuming us.
So true,
Yes.
so true. It keeps consuming, and often people, when they come to therapy, they are so drained by continuously being in this cycle of negative stress and unable to find their way out of it. So that's why a therapist, a trained therapist, what we do is ask them open-ended questions and then make them think that whether this negative or intrusive thoughts, is it contributing to my mental well-being, or is it making it is damaging me. Exactly. And that is when people often realize that, okay, this was what I was doing in my life and I was supposed to do the opposite of it.
And many times I feel it's very late when people begin to feel that they need to change and they need to have a practitioner guide them through bringing them out from this space.
Yeah.
Do you feel, have you encountered these clients who come to you, and if you can share with us an example of how they found their answer by coming to you and how they relieve themselves from that identity?
Yes, and since most of my client base is females and especially mothers, and what I have observed in most of them is they feel guilty about taking time out for themselves. They feel guilty about asking for help because since generations, women have been conditioned to be caregivers, to be nurturers, to be there for everybody else but for themselves. So this all adds up to their stress levels. And the suppressed anger is the root cause of many physical and psychological illnesses among women. So when they come to me, we work together on it, and first of all, we need to change the belief when it comes to taking therapy or asking for help. Once we reach that belief that it is okay, it is absolutely fine and safe to ask for help, from then on we target the problem areas in their life. And there have been many stories, and since being in therapy, we have to keep the confidentiality of our clients because they share their vulnerabilities with us. And so I would not name them, but yes, there were a few stories when there were severe cases of anxiety and panic attacks. And one of my clients, she had severe social anxiety, and now she is a public speaker.
Wow.
And there have been instances when a mother of a neurodivergent child, she was on the verge of breaking down, and she had the clinical depression and with suicidal thoughts. And she had reached a point where she was thinking to end her life along with her special needs son, so they both would not have to suffer without each other. And from that severe vulnerable state of mind, we had to bring her back towards life, and now she loves her life and she's full of life.
Wow. You are saving people's life, Asma.
Well, thanks to Almighty, if He made me a source of it.
Yes. And I think that even the small challenges that we have within us and we don't find answers, living in UAE where we are practically doing everything by ourselves, not having the support social circle, right? It's important for everyone, normal people, who need an ongoing session with a qualified practitioner to keep them in that track.
So true, but a nice approach, because often people think that only if I would use the vocabulary which people often use, which is quite naive, that if I'm mentally retarded or if I'm a psychological patient, only then I need to go to therapy. And there are lots of stigmas attached when it comes to therapy. I address this issue like that, like if you have a cardiac issue, you go to the best specialist possible to get rid of that issue. If you have any physical illness in any part of your body, you consult the best physician to get rid of that issue. Same goes for therapy. So we need to regularly check in our inner world also. We need to regularly keep check of our brain health, of our mental health, of our emotional well-being. Are we meeting the requirements of fulfilling our own emotional cup or not? And that is where you can go and ask for professional help from a therapist, because they are trained and qualified to help you in the best way possible.
Absolutely. And I think now even I feel, is it true, Asma, that people are even coming for their physical problems, if
True.
they have a knee pain or if they have any pain, and because the doctors from the allopathic and you cannot take too many pills to numb the pain or too many scans or x-rays. At the end of the day, is this CBT and this holistic wellness also supporting in this area?
Yes, exactly. Because when in many instances of chronic pain, it has a lot of to do with their thought process also. And the most underrated addiction is the addiction to stress. And by continuously taking stress, of course, your body keeps the score. Then it turns out in the form of autoimmune diseases. And in many females, I have observed arthritis and chronic pains,
Yes.
and knots in their shoulders and chronic headaches. It is all related from one aspect or the other with their mental health. It has a lot to do with their cortisol levels, with their stress management abilities, and with the anxious thoughts. So if we heal, I always say that our physical health and our mental health are interconnected. So taking care of one automatically impacts the other one.
Absolutely. What is stress and what is this cortisol? Like, can you just give a
Sure.
for people who don't understand too much, but why is it triggered? To make sure that this is something we should be on the lookout for.
Sure. Our brains are wired to keep us safe. They are not wired, or they are not made to keep us happy. This is the first.
Beautiful.
And second, stress is a natural part of our life because our brain, anything that outside source that it feels like a threat, there will be a natural stress response from our brain, which we cannot stop from emerging.
Right.
There are two types of stress, good stress and bad stress. Like you feel butterflies in your stomach if you are about to get a lottery or about to see a loved one after ages. That is the good level of stress.
Yes.
We call it e-stress. And then there is distress. That is where the detrimental part begins, because if you let it loose and if you let it affect you, then and it is related to high levels of cortisol, and cortisol is the stress hormone that is naturally produced in our bodies. So during daytime our cortisol levels are quite imbalanced, and during night time, and it opens up another window, night sleep deprivation. So
Right.
people who regularly stay awake in the night and their quality of sleep is not good, usually their cortisol levels are high, and that directly affects their stress levels. That's why cortisol is often called the stress hormone. So we have to keep our hormones in balance and see everything is interconnected. So if we take good care of our physical health, our hormones will be in balance, and if our hormones are in balance, our stress levels will be low and we will start feeling good. So there is good stress and bad stress, and we should not let bad stress affect our quality of life.
Also for the women, I think that women going through menopause or pre, and also after having children, they also go through a natural cycle of a stress.
Yes,
related.
yes. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is very common after childbirth, during pregnancy, and it varies from person to person. Some women, for some, it lasts up to 6 months, up to 1 year, and for some, they start coming back towards the usual life after a couple of months. And it has a lot to do with their hormones, especially in females. There is one happy hormone called estrogen.
Right.
And after giving birth to child, their estrogen levels are depleted. So they need to inculcate healthy habits, and they have to be intentional to have happy moments throughout the
Yes.
day to get that boost of estrogen in their lives.
Do you think that there are some good recommended supplements that must be part of everyone's daily intake?
Yes, I even spoke about it in one of my videos also. Like, yes, I usually tell to my clients, before you come to me, please make sure you are checking your iron levels, your magnesium levels, and your hormonal checkup, because often these are the causes that lead to your unstabilized state of mood. And when you are in a bad mood, eventually more and more intrusive thoughts will come and attack
Right.
you. And plus it has a lot to do with healthy lifestyle overall. And supplements, yes, clinical dietitian or nutritionist, you should consult them and ask them according to your individual body needs which supplement works for you. Because since we all have artificial food and this kind of processed food,
Yes.
and this kind of lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, so yes, we should be supplementing our diets with good
Absolutely.
supplements, especially when it comes to females.
Absolutely. Do you also think that sometimes, the doctors, they give you a very hopeless situation? Or like, they can say, oh, this one or this child or it cannot be improved, or they give you some kind of a condition that under this medication you will be able to. But after going into and being a practitioner and a kind of a doctor yourself, do you feel like you have changed that?
Narrative.
Yes.
Yes, but a nice question. Yes, of course, because since I always mention there are lots of stigmas attached when it comes to mental health. And yes, can you please repeat your question? I would like to listen
Yes.
to it again.
I feel like, for instance, in a situation, a doctor tells me that I don't think you will be able to improve from this existing
Come out of
condition,
it, right.
and you have to be under certain medication. And even in this scenario, I cannot guarantee you that you will be your optimal self.
Yes, yes. There have been many instances when people have come to me in therapy and they have told that I was diagnosed with depression a decade ago, and since then I'm on medication and nothing seems to be working for me. So now I thought, why not give it a try to therapy?
Wow.
So yes, because some very qualified practitioners in this field, they believe that they should go by the rule of the book only and prescribe medication, and that is where the role of therapy comes. A good therapist, and if you build nice therapeutic alliance with them, together they can work with you as a team to improve the quality of your life. And there are so many issues that can be dealt with therapy alone without any medication.
Yes.
And I will tell you my personal experience. A very famous doctor from the field of neurology told me that my neurodivergent son would stay nonverbal for the rest of his life. And I smiled at him and I told him, Doctor, thank you for your time, and I'm going to prove you wrong one day. And now my son is semi-verbal, and with the help of AAC, he is communicating all his basic needs. So it depends a lot on your belief system, on your faith, and how much effort you are willing to put in. Like I always say, therapy does not work like a magic spell that you go to a therapist and they are going to fix all the problems of your life.
Yes.
So you have to be a team member in your healing process, and you have to be willing to put in the effort. And how to do that, that is where a therapist will be there to guide you. You have to be consistent with your homeworks, with your regular sessions, and what works for one person might not work for another person. So that is why my approach is holistic, because I make it totally personalized and individualized according to the personal need of my every single client.
Beautiful. I have goosebumps just hearing your warrior story, because it takes a lot of personal conviction to break barriers and prove someone wrong, because it's never impossible. If you have the vision, and also, like, I love the way every time you say team effort.
Yes.
So if you have that collective support and determine the vision to accomplish, you can.
So true. Mindset matters. Your mindset can improve the quality of your life. Your mindset can totally exacerbate the situation for you. So like I always quote, a negative mind can never give you a positive life. So work on your mindset and everything starts blooming from there.
Do you have this practice or meditation that you do for your own self? Because I think it's very difficult for mom working, managing family, children, and all this affairs which needs an undivided attention.
Yes.
So how do you manage to keep yourself in that perfect self?
I have a set of non-negotiables when it comes to my self-care and taking care of my mental health, because if my cup will be full, only then I will be able to help my kids, my spouse, and take care of the community at a broader level. So there are certain things that I do, and first of all I do regular check-ins with myself. How am I feeling today? And if I have an uncomfortable feeling, I sit with that uncomfortable feeling, and this is what precisely I teach to my clients in therapy also, because you cannot heal from something which you are not allowing yourself to feel. So you have to sit in the uncomfortable feeling, and you have to let it happen and go right through it. And once it comes and visits you like a visitor, then let it go. Then say bye to it and then move on with your day. And there are breathing exercises that help me a lot to keep my cortisol levels low, and I often teach them in therapy to my clients also, and it especially works wonders when it comes to anxiety and panic attacks.
I love what you have said, and I want you to say it one more time, that when you feel you have an issue, you will sit with that.
Exactly. Even like we were mentioning previously, like in the fast-paced society like UAE, people do not have time for meditation or yoga, because often when people come to me in therapy, they say that my schedule is so hectic, I do not have time to go to gym or to do physical exercise and meditation. I ask them that if you're busy in a meeting but you think that you are so full of some negative emotions and you can feel it in your body building up, take a small break, go inside your car, lock yourself up, take some deep breaths, pause, reflect, what am I feeling at this particular moment? Is this feeling adding to my happiness, or is this feeling making me feel worse? And how rational is this feeling? Am I giving it too much time and energy? Am I focusing it on too much? So this helps. These kinds of regular check-ins you can do with yourself. It hardly takes a minute or two, and I think we all can manage that. And one thing I would like to add more: gratitude. That is the key to happiness.
Very difficult.
Very difficult, because most people, what they do say that we are grateful for the blessings in our life, and we do practice gratitude. But intentional gratitude and verbally being grateful are two entire different things. So we have to be intentional and mindful, and we have to mean it from the bottom of our hearts when we are grateful, and that actually works like wonders when it comes to anxiety and depression.
I love this final point of gratitude, because oftentimes I've read it that when you have gratitude in your system, you will never allow negativity. It cannot come to the same space.
So true. Gratitude, intentional gratitude, and anxiety cannot coexist. One of them has to leave the space.
Yes, yes. And also, so the inner dialogue is one thing which we have to focus. And the breathing techniques that you have mentioned. How do you work with your client? Like, for instance, if there is one client comes to you who is not getting enough sleep, right? Or who is having some issues at work. I mean, I know it's like a personal, but what are the main things? How are you going to deal with that client, and how many sessions, and how long does it take for them to fully come back to themselves?
Right. In the beginning, during the first session, usually a counselor or a therapist collects data from their client, that what are the areas that they are struggling with, because usually 99% of the people, when they come to therapists, even they do not know what to focus on and what is actually wrong. They are seeing it from a broader lens. Overall, I am struggling in my life, but we have to divide it into sub-problems, into tiny problems, so that we can focus on each and every one of them individually. That is called problem-solving approach of therapy. So once we determine that 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the areas that they are struggling with. It can be sleep deprivation, it can be relationship with the partner, it can be workplace stress. So we have to target them one by one. And secondly, again, physical health comes in the picture. So I ask them to reduce their screen time and never caffeinate before you, if you are not hydrated.
Right.
So hydrate before you caffeinate, practice mindful gratitude and deep breaths and the quality of sleep. And there have been instances where people come with chronic insomnia. So we have to deal with that also. Like then there are some other therapeutic approaches which we apply in such cases. But of course, and your biggest friend is your biggest enemy, and I'm talking about screens.
Right, of course. We all
And
are
studies
victims.
have proven that there is direct link between depression and screen time. So I'm asking my clients to cut off their screen times totally, but yes, they have to reduce it, especially in the hours before they sleep.
And it's so challenging for us to stop this addiction, let alone asking our children.
True.
And they will see what we are doing, and only then will they apply it on their.
Exactly. I would say one of the epidemics of this century is addiction to screens. And children, they do not do what they are told to do, they do what they are modeled to do. So
Yes.
they see us modeling right behaviors and healthy lifestyles, and they are going to absorb it and practice it by seeing us modeling it for them.
Absolutely. So, Asma, I would like to come to my next question. Like, what are the main non-negotiables for our audience to understand that they must never compromise on when it comes to their self-care and mental well-being?
Yes, when it comes to taking care of yourself, first of all, you need to check your self-talk. The way you speak to yourself shapes your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your reality. So be intentional with the way you speak to yourself. Too often we are our own hardest critics. We are so hard on ourselves more than we are hard on anybody else. So make sure that your self-talk is positive and full of encouragement and full of nice and full of love words with yourself. And secondly, your mindset. You have to be intentional, and when every single day you wake up, you have to be intentional that, okay, I'm going to have an amazing day on purpose. So these are the quick things that you can go do for a good day overall, for
Right.
good mood and
Yes.
good mental health. And plus, be intentional with your breathing. Conscious and intentional breathing can regulate your nervous system in a jiffy.
Beautiful. And also, when, for instance, like a guest before this podcast, she said she had a very special mentor friend.
Right.
So if you don't have that support, right, to push you or to make you say things of gratitude, then what is the way? Because I think so many of us feel alone.
So true. So true. We are human beings, are social animals, and we are wired to have basic, authentic human connections, and good social circle, positive people influence your mental health immensely.
Yes.
Like often there is this famous quote that you are the sum of the 5 people you interact the most with.
Right.
So surround yourself with positive people, people who lift you up, people that your nervous system feels calm around, and you get positive energy from them. And avoid toxic people at all costs, because they are detrimental for your mental health. And no matter how strong you are, you absorb their negative vibes, and that influences the way you feel about yourself.
Absolutely. And Asma, I know you're very passionate about making sure that whoever is in need of mental counseling, you go out of the way to
Yes.
support that.
Yes, like I mentioned, many mothers of neurodivergent children, they reach me out because they usually have very high levels of stress in their lives, and they suffer from depression and anxiety, and they lack that basic help. So being a mother, I can relate with their sufferings at a personal level, and they feel very safe opening up in front of me. And I create a safe environment for each and every one of my clients, whether it's a teenager coming to me with the social anxiety problems, whether it's an elderly coming to me with insomnia or panic attacks problems. And I do consider underprivileged and needy people also, and I provide them few complimentary sessions if they're unable to afford access to therapy, because I believe that mental health help should be accessible and affordable for everyone, because we all deserve that.
Yes, absolutely. Coming to my very other important question is that we have a lot of people who are not really genuine, or they are qualified in this field, and we need to be very much careful of that. Like, there's a lot of research. There's so much, a portion of your life has been dedicated to getting all these degrees and certifications.
Right.
And how important is it that you find the authentic practitioner for these issues?
Yes. First step is to look for their credentials, and being a client, it is your right to ask for them for their credentials for verification. And secondly would be therapeutic alliance. When you go for the first session, the way they make you feel in their presence. Do you feel safe, or do you feel like you are on the edge and you are totally uncomfortable with them? And third and most important thing would be, I would say, kind of energy, the aura you feel around them, because energy speaks before you open your mouth. So if you are getting a bad energy, no matter how fancy the session room is and how qualified the person is, if your energy is not aligned with them, avoid them. But if you feel safe in somebody's presence and energy, that is the right therapist for you.
Right, absolutely. And I have had the most amazing podcast with Asma, because I feel like a lot of your block is opening, and the way that you have scientifically linked it with, because I feel a lot of the barriers are coming from this mental barrier.
So true, so true. Like I said, we are our own biggest critics, and we are very hard on ourselves. So there are lots of belief systems that are not working for us, but we are sticking to them because we have always been with them and we feel comfortable in their presence. So lots of people are suffering in their lives because they are not willing to let go of the toxic patterns and limiting beliefs that are hindering them for mental growth. So we need to work on their belief systems, and most of them are at unconscious level. So we need to reach out to their subconscious minds, because we all operate 90% of the time from our subconscious mind. Once you go into their subconscious mind and challenge their limiting beliefs, that is where from the beginning of the change of mindset starts happening.
Right, and like if you want to share Asma some, some 5 top good mental health tips that can benefit each one of us from, having a better life and having less problems.
Amazing question. Number 1 would be take care of your physical health, because your physical health and mental health are totally interconnected. So never ever underestimate the importance of taking your physical health, and do whatever works for you. You should not you're not obligated to go and run 5K a day or buy expensive gym memberships. You can work out at home. You can do brisk walking anywhere, and your sleep quality, that also matters a lot, because studies have shown again and again there is direct connection between depression, anxiety and sleep deprivation, because your mood hormones are totally dependent on the quality of your sleep. So good quality of sleep will change your brain chemistry, which will eventually stabilize your mood and state of mind. And also hydration. Make sure you are very well hydrated, because that directly affects your mood. And also the kind of people you surround yourself with. Choose your circle very wisely, pick your friends very wisely, be intentional with your time and energy. They are your most precious assets, and so be very intentional with the way you spend your time and energy. And last but not the least would be your own best friend, and make sure you are saying encouraging and beautiful words to yourself every single day. That is where positive affirmations come.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that these may sound doable, but you have to be mindful. There's nothing wrong in journaling them and ticking the box every day and saying that this was the me time, did I cover all these things to enhance my productivity.
So
right? Because if we have some certain responsibilities, and if we want to do them on a full 10 out of 10 scale, these are the prerequisites that we must do, like hydration, for instance.
Right.
How many cups of coffee do you think Asma, we should have in a day? 2
is enough. More than 2 would be like adding extra dosage of caffeine to your system. It might work for some people, and for some people it would add to their stress levels.
And how about immunity? Because I think when you have less sleep or you're too stressed, you are
Yes.
more prone to catching infections.
Exactly, because when our stress levels are chronically high, plus we are not taking care of our sleep hygiene and not taking care of our physical health, of course our immune system is going to collapse, and any kind of illness, sickness or germs, they are going to reach out to us sooner than others.
So how can our viewers get in touch with you? Like, I love, the reason how I connected with you is I loved one of your content, and it just aligned so much and resonated when I reached out, because you are really, I can feel, spreading awareness and bringing about this understanding among people about the importance of mental health, right? So please, if you can share your website, we all have it in the captions, but and the links that you can connect.
Yes, sure. I'm on all social media platforms, and particularly Instagram and LinkedIn, with the name of Asma the Coach. And you can all feel free to reach me out on Instagram DMs, or my email address is asmathecoach@gmail.com, and my official website is www.asmathecoach.cards.co. And I raise awareness through my content also, and feel free to send me a message on my Facebook, Instagram, and I will definitely get back to you.
Yes, absolutely. You can get in touch with Asma for all your sessions, for all your queries on her amazing, wellness work that she's doing, and clients can have a one-on-one session. And I feel that we should definitely have another session with you after some time, because a lot of listeners would want to reach out and we can solve more.
I would love to, because mental health awareness is a subject that is very close to my heart, and I believe that in this fast-paced society where nobody has time to look within themselves, we need to create more and more awareness about mental health.
Thank you so much. It reminds me of my one last question.
Sure.
Like some people, there are a lot of questions that came to me, so I'm asking. People take melatonin,
Yes.
right, for better sleep. Do you
Yes.
think that is recommended?
Benzodiazepines and melatonin and any medication that alters your brain chemistry or disrupts your hormones and alters their chemical balance is not recommendable by therapists. But since in some cases it becomes a necessity, a requirement, it again depends on the individual needs of the person and the level of the severity of their sleep deprivation. But of course, lifestyle changes and diet changes contribute a lot when it comes to production of natural melatonin that is produced naturally in everybody's body. And again, people who use lot of screens in the bedtime and do not have regular sleep hygiene and schedule, they struggle more with
Yes.
melatonin production in their brains. And again, if they are not getting good sunlight, especially sun, I would say I love sunlight because it actually boosts your happy hormones and reduces your cortisol levels. So waking up early and going to bed early keeps balance of your melatonin levels, which are naturally present inside your body. So if you make it a constant habit of going to bed early and waking up early, it will balance your melatonin production in a natural way without help of any medication.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Asma, for
Thank you for having me. It was an absolute honor and pleasure to be here.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's an honor for me to be here with you, and you're sharing such valuable inputs and providing us with the education. For the listeners to pay attention to their lifestyle and then their glass being free to spread that love. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank